Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live here every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com and everywhere you find your podcasts. We are our host today, Mike Overson with Luminate Home Loans. I'm in the suburb market of Minneapolis, Minnesota, just south of Minneapolis, about 20 minutes. Also with me on the show today is Marcus Walgrave with Hague Realtors. He is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And we have our producer, Evan Little, with us as well. He is our producer on the show. He is also our insurance guru with Paragon Companies. We will be taking your questions today during the show. Anything and everything dealing with real estate, mortgages, insurance, that's all welcome. So definitely feel free to interact with us and contact us with your questions. The call-in number is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585, or you can, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can also put your comments and questions in the comment sections on Facebook, and we will get them answered there as well. We will be answering the questions that were emailed us during the week and the different calls that we received during the week as well. So we encourage everyone to reach out to us during the show or during the week, and we'll get you all your questions answered. Whether it's real estate, mortgage, insurance, all that fun stuff there. Marcus, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Mike?
Any snow last night?
A dusting. The northeast corner of South Dakota did get hit. I think they were projected like another 4 inches, which is crazy because we got quite a bit of snowpack in our area anyways. But the southeast, where Sioux Falls, South Dakota is located, just a dusting. I don't even think anything even accumulated on the ground. So how about you guys?
Yeah, just a dusting, just a very little dusting. But, last Wednesday, we were talking about that big storm was rolling through, and they were predicting, anywhere from 16 to 22 inches of snow for us.
What did you guys get?
I think we ended up with about 16 total up here. Yeah.
I got a little bit more than that at my house, but not by a lot, like 18 and a half, I think.
Yeah. So I think this Twin Cities metro area up here, anywhere from 16 to 19 probably seems to be what we ended up getting. What did you guys get down there, Marcus?
We had 12 and a half inches over that 2-day period. It was kind of interesting because a couple of days after that, a local news station put out an article about record snowpack that we've had for the month of March and the month of April. And I mean, as you guys all know, that growing up in the Midwest, March is a snowy month. But fortunately, we get some nice days in March as well. So, you get some and then it melts away and then you kind of get some. So, we're about on par for what we got going on. We were in a drought these last couple of years. And so the National Weather Service for our area isn't projecting any kind of flooding. The soil's so dry and the creeks and the rivers are low. So, I mean, that's good news. I think a lot of people are going to be able to avoid a lot of those headaches down the road here in the next month or two. And Mike, I kind of feel guilty. I almost feel like did I jinx us when I did the show a couple weeks ago about spring? Spring is almost here. Was that
getting your house ready for spring? Yeah.
For this?
I think you jumped the gun there, obviously. Being that
I was excited. We had 7 nice days of weather, and I was like, "Woo, spring! It's here. It's coming."
Yeah, not so much anymore, though. Yeah, it's gonna be a while. But you bring up the drought thing. So yeah, all the lakes up here in Minnesota, are 2 to 4 feet below their normal levels. So much welcomed. I'll take all the snow and rain we can get here in March. Not a problem. Let's fill the lakes back up. Let's get them back to back to normal levels up there, and we'll be sitting good. Okay, so we're going to talk about a whole smorgasbord, a buffet of current events, if you will. Right? We're going to be talking about some mortgage stuff. We're going to be talking about some real estate stuff, all that good things there. So let's start off with some loan stuff. FHA this last week. FHA came out and said they're going to lower their mortgage insurance premiums. So what does that mean? That means if you get an FHA loan, the mortgage insurance premium previous to, these changes take effect actually on all FHA case numbers ordered after March 20th. So your FHA case order your FHA case number has to be ordered after March 20th, as long as it's ordered after that date, then you are subject to the lower mortgage insurance premiums on that loan. The old premium is 0.85%. The new premium is 0.55%. So what does that mean? Well, if you take a $250,000 loan amount, the old mortgage insurance premium would be $177 per month. The new mortgage insurance premium would be $114 per month. That's a change of $63 per month on a $250,000 loan.
So when you say this, Mike, can you repeat yourself? No, these are loans that, what did you say that just got started, or the ones that they closed on?
FHA loans. So
Yep.
These are FHA loans only. And your case number. So what happens with an FHA loan is that FHA runs everything off of their case number. So every single FHA loan that happens in the US gets registered on the online portal with FHA, right? So you have to basically, when a lender's doing a loan, you have to order this thing called a case number. So that case number assigns an FHA case number to your loan. All that information on that loan then gets uploaded into this FHA system, and then FHA can track all that stuff, and they can monitor all that stuff to make sure it meets all of their guidelines. So FHA is saying, we will give you the lower mortgage insurance premium as long as your FHA case number is ordered after March 20th.
After March 20th.
So on or after March 20th, as long as your case
March
number
1st. So we're talking they call it 3 weeks, and you're going to have a more attractive PMI.
Right. So if I have an FHA buyer right now and they're going to be closing on April 15th, right?
Yeah.
I would say, hey, buyer, we are better off to basically collect docs and do everything that we can up until the time that we have to order an FHA case number. Then we're going to stop. We're going to stop and wait for March 20th to come around. On March 20th, we're going to order your FHA case number, because now we get to the lower mortgage insurance premium, and your payment, if it's a $250,000 loan, your payment's going to go down by $63. And then we pick up the rest of the process and we get you to closing on April 15th. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's how it happens. It's a little bit different. It's not when the appraisal is ordered. It's not when you lock the loan. It's not when your closing date
is accepted.
It's none of that.
Date.
Every single thing with FHA runs off that case number date. So that when that case number is ordered, that's the date that triggers all the waiting periods and all the stuff with FHA.
We talk about this all the time, Mike, the importance of aligning yourself with professionals in their specific, area. And so if you have a mortgage banker who, maybe new, and there's nothing wrong with new mortgage, but don't get me wrong. But, or maybe the company that they work for, isn't really dialed in with this current events information. And if you just miss it by a couple of days, you're talking on would you say a $200,000 loan was almost $70 a month?
Right. Yeah. So a $250,000 loan would be $63 a month, so that ends up being about $750 a year. So, it'll move the dial a little bit for some people. Even I'm working actually with someone right now. They don't qualify. Their debt to income ratio is too high at the old mortgage insurance premium amount, but on the new one, they qualify. Right? That $63, they're actually doing like a $325 loan amount. So it's closer to about a $90 savings per month. But that $90 gets them right underneath the max level allowed by FHA as far as debt to income ratio goes. So now I can structure their deal around to say, okay, we need to set your closing date out to here because we can't order your FHA case number until March 20th. Right? And then as long as we can do that, now you get approved. If you don't do that, now you can't buy the house. Right? So it's that planning, it's knowing how to fit the pieces of the puzzle together. And it's going to work out great for this client because, before FHA made this announcement, we couldn't get them approved, but now we can.
We kind of look at that too, Mike, and you talk about timing and trying to get things going. You've obviously have a ton of experience. You've been a mortgage banker, for many, many years. And you have the knowledge of in terms of saying, hey, if we do order this number at this time, even though that we are going through like an FHA type loan product, we can still satisfy that April 15th date, or even furthermore, just simply having these conversations, educating, the realtors that you work with, and just simply saying, guys, if you have clients out there that are looking to purchase a home and close on a date as soon as possible, if they're looking to achieve take advantage of this new PMI rate, maybe give me till April 15th or give me until April 10th or whatever it is. Having that line of communication is so important.
Yeah. And the higher the loan amount, the more you save type of deal, right? So if I do a $400,000 loan amount, the old mortgage insurance premium is $283. Okay, so $283 per month on the old one. On the new mortgage insurance premium amount, $183. $100. So on a $400,000 house, that right there saves you $100 a month.
Yeah, $1,200 a year. I mean, I think if you ask anybody, hey, would you like to save $1,200 over the next calendar year and not have to do anything, but just know your dates? I think everybody would be pretty happy about keeping that $1,200 today.
Exactly. Yep. So that's the change in FHA. Now VA has come out. And had a similar reduction in costs. So the VA, if you're familiar with those types of loans, they don't have monthly mortgage insurance like FHA and conventional loans do. One of the benefits of a VA loan is, hey, the government's basically going to pay your mortgage insurance or your PMI for you, so there's no cost to the veteran. The one cost that they do have to the veteran is this thing called a funding fee. So the VA has a funding fee. Well, the VA has come out and said they're going to reduce their funding fees on some of their scenarios. So if you're going to buy a house on a VA loan, again, the VA loan does work like the FHA loan where you have to order a case number, right? So everything goes off of that case number order date. Same thing. Can't order an appraisal until you have that case number. You can't do a lot of those things until you have that case number. So, if you got someone closing, this one goes into effect on April 7th. So you have to wait till on or before April 7th to order the VA case number here. So let's say you got someone closing at the end of April on a VA loan. You can save them some money by, again, working through all the things you can work through on the file up until the point that you have to order a VA case number. Stop the process at that point. Wait for April 7th to come around, then order the VA case number, then move forward. You're going to save them some money. So what are you going to save them? So for a first time, let's say it's a first use of the VA home loan. So let's say it's a first time home buyer, a vet there, and they're going to do zero down payment. The funding fee goes from 2.3% down to 2.15%. So what does that mean? So if it's a $300,000 purchase, that funding fee went down by $450.
Nice.
Okay. If this is a second user of a VA loan, so let's say the vet has bought one house already. They used the VA loan to buy that house. They are now selling that house and they're going to go buy a different house. So it's going to be their second time using the VA loan. The discount is bigger. It used to be 3.6% for that funding fee. Now it's 3.3%. So again, if they're going to be buying a $300,000 house, that savings is going to be $900 right there. So literally by the timing, knowing the timing of when these things take effect and be able to structure a deal, you could save that vet $900 out of their pocket right out of the gate.
That's pretty nice. Especially when if you are looking to take advantage of like a 0% down loan product, and knowing that was maybe one of the few things that is going to be your out-of-pocket costs, to save hundreds of dollars is going to be very helpful to a lot of people.
Yep. And the thing is that even though the VA loan allows you to do zero down, you still have closing costs to pay and you still have that VA funding fee to pay. Now that VA funding fee can be rolled into the loan amount. So that's one good thing there. They don't make you come out of pocket with it. If you're a vet to pay for that fee, they let you roll it into the loan amount. But nonetheless, if you can reduce the cost of that fee, so where you have to roll less of it into loan amount, that's going to save on your monthly payment because now your loan amount will be obviously less going into it. Okay.
Good news for buyers out there. I mean, it's if you're kind of reading like national news, it's depending on the week or the month. I mean, it's either a lot of good positive stuff, and then 2-3 weeks later, then they're bombarding you with some negative stuff. So this is going to be kind of one of those moves in real estate. We're getting the good news.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, FHA and VA, the amount of money that they have made on those loans, on the mortgage insurance premiums on those loans, has been astronomical over the last few years. They got a ton of money. FHA has a ton of money banked up on the back end. they certainly have the ability to reduce their premiums. Same thing on the VA side of things. They have been collecting a lot of money on these loans for the last few years. They have a lot of money sitting there. That's why they're backing these off and reducing them now, because they have a surplus of money sitting there, and they're not going to have any sort of negative impact on the loan programs or anything like that by having these reductions come into play. All right, so let's go into conventional loans. So conventional loans also had changes. Okay, so what the conventional loans did is that their interest rate adjustments, depending on your borrower qualifications, has changed. So when I talk about borrower qualifications, I'm talking about your credit score bucket you're in, the down payment bucket that you're in, whether you're doing 3% down, 5% down, 10%, 20%, that. There are also made adjustments for what your debt to income level is, your debt to income ratio. So there's a lot of changes. This is the biggest thing. And most of these changes are going into effect today, which is March 1st. Now, the government has come out and said these affect all loans that are going to be delivered to Fannie and Freddie starting May 1st. But the lenders have to be proactive, right? Because if I quote a rate today for someone and they go buy a house, right, and their close date is after May 1st, that particular loan is going to be subject to these new rules. So lenders always put these rules into effect a couple of months before they actually need to be, because you have I got to go find a house. I got to get a purchase agreement. I got to get through closing. Now that loan is closed. Now I got to get it delivered to Fannie and Freddie on the back end, right? You need time to do all that stuff. So most lenders are going to kick these in today as far as pricing goes, assuming that a buyer that applies today is probably not going to close until after May 1st. And so therefore they're covered with these new adjustments that go into play. Some of the adjustments are bad, meaning that rates went higher. Some are good, meaning that rates went lower. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Let me see if I can share my screen. And choose what I want to share. Entire screen. All right, so let's share this screen with you guys. All right, can you guys see my screen?
It's coming up. There it is.
Okay. All right. Nice spreadsheet here. Okay. Color coded so that even you and Evan can follow it, Marcus. All right.
Good. I like colors.
So you're going to see a whole mess of stuff in here, right?
Yep.
So let me close my Outlook down, actually. Sorry, everybody. Let me close this down so we don't get bothered. Okay. All right. So what I was talking about was there's different credit score buckets and there's different loan to value buckets. So basically your down payment bucket that you're in. So let's look at this top grid. Okay. So this very top section, you can see the credit score buckets through here. Greater than a 780 credit score, 760 to 779, 740 to 759, and so on. Okay. So you look at the credit score bucket. Up here is your loan to value, right? Less than 5% down, anywhere between 5% down and 9.99% down, anywhere between 10% and 14.99% down, and so on. Okay. So pick any one of these buckets. Let's just look at the less than 5% down bucket. Okay. Every single one of these got better. The pricing got better. So if we look at this, let's say you're top tier, so you're above 780, right? And you're going to put 3% down. The old adjustment was 0.75. Now the new adjustment is only 0.125. Okay. This is not based on your interest rate. This is the cost. So I'm going to try to do the best I can to explain this, right? So you've heard of discount points. So basically this would be the amount of discount points you'd have to pay to get a particular rate. So let's say the rate out there today is, let's just say for easy numbers, it's 6.5. Okay. Before today, if you were a 780 credit score with less than 5% down, you would have to pay a discount point of 0.75% of your loan amount to get that rate. Today, you only have to pay 0.125% of that loan amount to get that rate. So on a $200,000 loan, that's like a $1,350 savings.
Yeah. Nice.
Right? It's awesome, right? So it's almost, so you look at this, every single one of these got better. So if you have less than 5% down, every single one of those scenarios got better, and it got better by a lot. 0.625 here, 0.5% here, right? So a $300,000 loan amount, it's $1,500 less out of your pocket in order to get that same rate today versus yesterday because of these adjustments that went into play. Okay. So let's look at one of these columns where things got worse. So let's look at this column here, right? 80 to 85%. So this is where you have 15% down up to 19.99% down. Okay. Let's say you're at the 740 to 759 credit bucket. So let's say you're at a 750 credit score and you got 15% down. The old cost was only a quarter. Okay. So the old cost is a quarter. Now today it's going to cost you a full 1%. So on a $300,000 loan amount, that difference is 0.75%. So now that's costing you what? An extra $2,250. It's costing you an extra $2,250 to get that same rate today that you could get yesterday for basically no cost.
I think if anybody's looking at this and they're just not real familiar with the the specifics of loan products, but common sense, Mike would say that, hey, if you have a borrower and they want to bring 19.99% down, then it's going to be the cheapest approach to it. But this graph is showing that with these new adjustments in play, that's not the case. I mean, you might be having the most affordable loan product is putting less than 5% down.
Right. Which is crazy to think, right? That's just totally counterintuitive. It's like,
yeah,
if I'm a 750 credit score and I got 15% down, why would my interest rate be worse than someone with the same credit score but only 3% down?
Yep.
And I would say to that, trust me, I get it. It doesn't make any sense, but that's our government for you, right? This is all from our government. This is Fannie and Freddie coming out and saying these are the adjustments that you lenders throughout the entire country, you have to follow these adjustments. And so that's what lenders are going to do.
I mean,
right?
It almost feels like what they're. I mean, I understand when you look at the credit scores, those FICO credit scores on the lower end, why you're looking at pretty much all green regardless of what percent you put down, because we have affordable housing issues here in America where it's if you're a first time home buyer or first time move up buyer, things are tough, and they're trying to make it more attractive for them, but it almost seems like they're a lot of those homes that those individuals are buying are homes that move up buyers or second time move up buyers are selling. So if you're not making it attractive for pre-existing homeowners to part way with their house and buy something else, then that's also going to kind of put a little damper on our inventory. So I mean, you see it, and a lot of it makes sense in terms of trying to help people who can't afford housing today and making it more affordable for them. But there's some parts in there I just it's kind of hard to understand why you look at the less than 5% and the whole column's green. Right.
Yeah. So if you look at this chart, right, look where the bulk of the green is at. So if I just do a screenshot here, okay, a bulk of the green is over here. Okay. Right. Less than 5% down. Every single one of the less than 5% down is in the green. The other bulk, if you look here, is in credit scores that are 660 or less, right? A lot of green. Yellow means it stayed the same. Green means it got better. There's not one red in there for 660 and under credit scores. There's not one red block. It either stayed the same or it all got better, right? You look at the chunks here in the red. Well, what does that look like? Those chunks there in the red, where it got worse, the bulk of where it got worse, as you're going to be able to see here, right, is credit scores 680 on up. So 680 up to all the way up to 780, and then pretty much throughout your down payment range up in this level. It's almost, it almost feels to me, and you guys can comment on this too, it's kind of like paying income taxes, right? The more you make, the more they're going to take. Here, it's like the better the borrower you are, the worse the adjustment got for you. So
Yeah, it's an interesting. I haven't seen any like explanation for this other than like the bottom section of the green where the 660 and under. Again, that makes sense, right? I mean, there's affordable housing issues right now, and to improve those for those individuals is going to be very helpful for them to get into their first home. Whether they're first time home buyers or maybe the first time move up buyers or whatever their case might be, but the big red area in the higher end is it's confusing. That's for sure.
Yeah. So let's go down here. So we got credit score adjustments here, and we got down payment adjustments here, right? Loan to value, down payment. So here's the other adjustments that come into play. A lot of yellow here, right? Which means it stayed the same. Some green and some red. So you can look over here, adjustable rate mortgages, condos that have a loan term on them of greater than 15 years. So 20-year fixed, 30-year fixed loan terms on condos, right? Not much changes there. These are all staying the same. We don't have to focus on those investment properties, pretty much staying the same. Some of them getting better, most staying the same. Second homes staying the same. Manufactured homes, which are mobile homes, staying the same. 2 to 4 units. Look at the 2 to 4 unit.
Yeah.
Every scenario, every situation on duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes got better. Right? High balanced ARMs. So this is for like the high cost areas, California, New York, mainly on the east and west coast, those areas that have higher cost of living where their average home price is higher. If you're going to do an ARM out there, every single one of those got worse at all levels. If you're going to do a high balance fixed rate, every single one stayed the same. Okay. Here's the big one that I was looking at. DTI over 40%. Okay. Conventional loans will allow you to go up to 45 to 50%. A lot of cases, 50%, especially if you're in the higher income, or not higher income bracket, but higher credit score bracket. They'll allow you to go up to 50%, right? If you are now doing a conventional loan and your debt to income ratio is going to be over 40, they're going to hit you for that. Right? They're going to
be crazy, right? I mean,
all the way through here.
If you had like a debt to income ratio at like 42, 43% prior to this, I mean, that was like a slam dunk. You're one of the more desirable consumers out there.
Right. And now if you're over 40, they're going to start hitting you a little bit, right? This 0.375, you can see that the change is going to be 0.375. That's going to equal about 0.125% interest rate. So it's not going to move the dial a whole lot. If you were at 6.5 yesterday, right, and you had no adjustments up here at all, right? No adjustments up here. And your only adjustment was now that you're over a 40% debt to income ratio, your 6.5 from yesterday turned into 6.625 today. So not too crazy, but nonetheless, it's still a change, right? It's still a change to talk about.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, you pointed out the 2 to 4 units, Mike. And that kind of, was a nice little segue into a couple articles that I came across here over the last several months. I'm a member of our Builders Association here in the Sioux Empire Builders Association, and so I get the weekly newsletters, and they're what they end up being is come from the National Association of Home Builders Communication news e-newsletter. Comes out every week, and then once a month there's housing headlines, and it just kind of pulls out some of the interesting articles that were written in our local in national news, and one of the things that I kind of caught my eye, and it's pertaining to rent, but it was just the fact that Wall Street, this is from CNBC, Carlos Waters article that he put out at the end of last month. Wall Street has purchased hundreds of thousands of single family homes since the Great Recession, and here's what that means for rental prices. And the only reason why I kind of bring that up is because it seems like, again, kind of looking at that chart that you shared, it's favorable for investors. Some of the things that they changed, they like the 2 to 4 units. So maybe that's what we're going to see here moving, forward in 2023, 2024 is, is the Wall Street type of buyer out there trying to get their hands on the duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes.
Well,
where before they were chasing the single family homes.
Single families. We could maybe see a little bit of a change to that. Regardless of which way they go to, it just shows that people with money are buying real estate. And
Yes.
there's a reason, right? There's a reason. It's because
they're buying lots of real
estate, right? So you look at the wealthy people buying real estate so that they can rent it out. In this particular case, with Wall Street buying it so they can rent it out, there's a reason why they're going to continue to do it, and they have been doing it. And then we see articles about it. It's because there's a lot of advantages of that. Now, when you're buying a house for you to live in, you get a lot of those same advantages.
Yes.
You're just not renting it out. You're going to live there, but you still get a lot of the tax benefits. You get the appreciation on the house, right? You get all of that stuff that comes along with it. So that article was good because it just solidifies that buying real estate is still a good play.
It's still a good play. I think you could argue that it's a really good play. I mean, everybody talks about how real estate is the perfect way to hedge against inflation. And I mean, Mike, how many times have you heard here in the last 6 months, ever since rates started to work their way up, that we were going to go into this recession, and this first time home buyer, maybe the first time move up buyer who is just reading all the negative news about it, and they're saying, the housing market's going to take a dump. I'm going to wait and buy when that happens. And it's just like, man, you had that one software program that you shared earlier in the year, the cost of waiting. And just that in itself was remarkable. I mean, it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of the loan.
Mm-hmm.
I take that back. That was like that was over like 5 years. It was like $250,000.
Yeah, I think it was 100 and some grand over 5 years, and ended up being about 250 grand over 10 years.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep. And so, and again, I mean, so if you're out there and you don't want to listen to your realtor and you don't want to listen to your mortgage banker, take note. If Wall Street and all the people who have incredible wealth, if they're buying real estate, it probably means that's a good thing to do right now in terms of creating personal wealth. They're not buying it because they're looking to have charity and they're going to take this massive hit over the next 2 to 3, 5, 10 years. They're buying it because they know it's a great play and they're going to become even more wealthier from it. So, I mean, if you're a buyer out there, make sure you're getting the right information. And if you've always wanted to buy a house, God, don't wait at all.
Well, here's the problem with waiting. So let's just even look last year, right? You look at last year, those people that wanted to wait for the spring market to come, because maybe they wanted to save for more down payment. Maybe there was going to be more houses coming on the market because the inventory was low, and maybe they wanted to see and wait for the inventory levels to go up so they had more houses to look at. Well, the problem with that is that we always have a ton of buyer demand. There's always buyer demand out there. Right. So we got a ton of pre-approved buyers sitting on the sidelines that want to get into a house, and they're just waiting for the right time as well. Right. So when the right house comes up that you're looking at, you like it, you want to go look at it. Well, guess what? There's probably 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 other people that also like that house that are also going to look at it. Right. Or if you're waiting for interest rates to get to a certain level, well, what happens there? There's how many hundreds of other buyers waiting for interest rates to get to a certain level. So then what happens? You all jump into the pool at the same time. Well, there's only so much water in the pool. So who gets what water? Now you got to fight for it. How do you fight for it? I'm going to offer 10 grand over list price. I'm going to offer 20 grand. I'm going to offer 30 grand. I'm going to offer 50 grand. Last year, we were seeing people offering 80 to 100 grand over on list price in some price points. Right? So that's the problem with waiting, is because when you want to jump in, everyone else wants to jump in too, more than likely. And that's where you get this competition. That's where we're going to start paying more. Our theory is, look, get in now before you get that mad spring rush going in there. Secure your house. You're going to get the best terms for the house. You're not going to have to go 10 or 20 grand over list price to get it. you're not going to have to waive your home inspection in order to get the house. You get that house locked up, you locked at interest rates where they're at today. Now you have your house. Okay. When rates go down in the future, you're just going to refinance your current interest rate to the lower rate. And now you just dropped your payment. So you got the best terms on the house because you didn't have to fight a bunch of people for it and offer 20, 30, 40 or list price to get it. And you're going to end up with the payment that you want because when interest rates go down, you can refinance and take advantage of that lower interest rate.
What was the saying that you had, Mike? You date the rate and you marry the house.
Yep. Date the rate, marry the house. Exactly.
Yep. And I think that's a good way to think about it. That and you bring up the multiple offers, and spring is a time, especially, I mean, our inventory has been low since Great Recession. Since the housing market crisis, our inventory has been low for decade plus. There are absolutely no signs that that's going to change. We're going to be in low inventory for, some people are projecting for many years to come. And so, but don't get discouraged if you're a buyer out there. I mean, I could tell you this right now, like my listings that I have, what we're seeing is buyers are able to go in and see the house. And they might have the opportunity to sleep on it and go see it the next day. Or wait for an open house over the weekend to take a second look at it. Buyers didn't have that luxury, last year, year before. Some of them, were buying it sight unseen. And so, if you want to look at some of the really positive things out there for buyers, there are plenty of them. And so, I mean, I think that's one of those deals where if you're ready to, if you're ready to buy a home, align yourself with the right team and start getting out there and start looking and house hunting and we're not too far away. I said this. Does this mean that we're going to get another snowstorm? But we're not too far away from spring, Mike.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't matter. People who don't own homes, they're paying. Most likely are paying rent. And they're just tired of paying rent, or maybe they simply want to be more part of the community. Home ownership is one of the great ways to do that. And they just kind of get, for lack of a better phrase, cabin fever over the winter, and they're just like, I'm done renting. And a lot of things kind of in terms of schooling. A lot of people, when they get done with school, they sign a 12-month lease, come June. So they know that, hey, come June, my lease is going to be ended. I'm going to go ahead and start house hunting. It's like, if you could maybe just get ahead of that big wave, you might be able to pick up a listing right now for 1 or 2% under list price. And you get to do your home inspection. You get to have more buyer favorable terms on a purchase contract, because you aren't having to compete with 2, 3, 4, 6 other buyers out there, which will be likely here in a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely already seeing that. You still do have some opportunities out there to buy a house without getting a multiple offer situation, but it's going away pretty quickly. I mean, we're seeing that already up here in the Twin Cities. There's just not that many deals happening right now where you make an offer and you're the only offer on the table. They're spotty. There are some out there happening still, but not too many. And it's basically going to that number's going to go down to 0. Probably here, as soon as we hit our first 50 degree day, that's sunny and 50 up here, it's probably going to be multiple offers on every single property. But we talk about a lot, Marcus. I know that Jason and I talk about this. It's like, if you were a buyer today, right? If you were a buyer today, would you rather be a buyer in today's market, right? Given the current real estate market, given the current interest rate market, or would you rather be a buyer 2 years ago, 2 springs ago in that real estate market and that interest rate market?
Yeah, I mean, I think, regardless of what industry you're in, I think, everything's better now than it was 2 years ago. But yeah, specifically real estate, the example I gave you, just knowing that you can go see a house on a Thursday evening and you guys like it, and then you can go see it again on Friday and submit an offer. Maybe it's only been listed for a couple of days, and you can kind of beat the crowd and get an offer in there. And I mean, that's a lot more enjoyable. That's a lot more confidence with home buyers too. They're like, hey, we took a second look. We got a chance to view the neighborhood when everybody was, driving home from work. We like the traffic that we see in there. It's minimum. We like seeing a lot of kids running around because we have kids. And the buyer is going to be a more confident buyer, moving forward. We hear a lot of articles about buyers pulling out of deals. And I just don't think they really were emphasizing the point that, a lot of them were pulling out, not because that they were getting necessarily cold feet. It just simply, they just got squeezed on with that rate. And they maybe were borrowing at their absolute top debt to income ratio. And then when it went up a point, they just no longer could afford it. They were no longer approved for the loan that they were, 30 days prior. And that was, in a sense, the contingency of their offer was financing. And that was the reason why that they, had to pull out, not because they were wanting to pull out. They just, probably had to.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 years ago, the allure was the low rates, right? 30-year fixed at 2.75, 30-year fixed at 3%, 30-year at 3.25, whatever the case may be. That was the allure, right? Everyone jumped in the pool. So you gained on the interest rate side of things, but what did you lose on the real estate side of things? You lost the ability to think about it overnight. You couldn't go see a house and be like, yeah, I think this is the house. Let's sleep on it and submit an offer tomorrow. You basically had to figure out if you wanted to submit an offer in 20 minutes, otherwise that thing was gone before you even had a chance to submit an offer, right? So you
lock the house up, don't let anybody else in.
So you gave up time to think about it, even just sleep one night on it. You gave up the ability to do a home inspection. You gave up the ability to say, look, if it appraised for underneath our purchase price, then we're going to drop the purchase price to the appraisal value. Because every seller was like,
leverage.
Yep, you're going to pay the appraisal gap. So if you're going to pay $450,000 for this house, and it appraises at 400, you're gonna bring the extra $50,000 to the closing, Mr. Buyer. Like that's the type of stuff you gave up. You go fast forward to today, the one thing you're giving up is the ultra low interest rate. But look at everything that you gain. You gain the ability to sleep on it overnight. You gain the ability to have parents or family come for a second showing to look at it to make sure it's the right play for you. You gain the ability to do a home inspection. You gain the ability to not have to pay for an appraisal gap. So if it appraises underneath your purchase price, then you probably negotiate your purchase price to come down to what it appraised at, right? So you have all these things that you gained in today's market. The only negative is the interest rate. That's why we say it's better to buy in today's world, because on the real estate side of things, you're going to get better terms. You can get better terms on that house, with the only negative being the interest rate that you can change down the road when interest rates go lower.
And I think, again, the cost of waiting, I think that's something too, where even 2 years ago, I know we're using that as an example, and it was definitely stressful for buyers out there, but by no means was it a bad decision that they purchased homes last year or the year before. Even if they did have to go 10% over list price, they were able to capture that in the increase of home values over that 12 months. So I mean, it was one of those situations where again, if you want to be negative and have an excuse not to purchase home, sure, you're going to find it regardless of what year it is, buyer's market, seller's market, whatever market. If you want to find some negativity to talk you out of buying a house, then you're going to find it. And you probably shouldn't own a house. You should probably just make sure you have yourself in the right position and knowing that you're ready. But if you know that the time is right for you to buy a home, there's no value in waiting. There's no value in trying to say, okay, well, we're going to wait for the prices to come down and it's just get the ball rolling, find a house that works for you, and get it under contract.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Phone lines are open, 612-234-7585. Feel free to join us here. Any questions dealing with mortgages, real estate? What? It's not open?
I would.
Evan wants to talk to you right now. Make sure everyone right now calls. 612-234-7585. That's our number. You can get a hold of us really anytime during the week at that number. You can also visit us at US Home Talk as well, and we'll answer your questions throughout the week. Marcus, anything else you wanted to cover today?
Mike, so we're kind of touching on a little bit of everything when it comes to the real estate market. One thing I think is important to talk about, and I don't think it gets enough attention. When you hear individuals talk about overall sales, a lot of that data can come from the National Association of Realtors, NAR. And they're pulling that data from the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service. And so, when you hear somebody make the comment about like, the sales were down 20% from one month to the next, that's maybe true, but one thing that I see, and I think, we're going to continue to see is new construction, because of low inventory prior to this really low inventory. A lot of the new construction made it to the MLS, and then that transaction was recorded, and then that data was able to be used and reported on. Now a lot of because of the low inventory, a lot of the consumers may be working directly, maybe just reaching out to high volume builders out there and saying, hey, what do you got out there? So those transactions aren't necessarily reflecting on the data. When you hear about if you're curious about what your city's doing in terms of growth, ask how many building permits were pulled last year and the year before. Especially in 2021, it was record numbers for single family home building permits pulled. And a lot of those transactions didn't make it to the MLS. So when people talk about hey, the inventory is really low and the number of transactions are down, it's like, per the MLS data, sure, that may be truth, but as an industry as a whole, builders here on CNBC in January and February, they reported that the home builder sentiment rose in January and February. February had one of the biggest rises over the last decade. So it's we definitely see some fluctuation with the interest rates. I think when they drop down to low sixes, everybody's super excited and they're calling up Mike and saying, Mike, can we lock in a rate? We haven't found a house. What are our options? When they go up to 7, the news comes out and says, oh, everybody ran away again. And then they're going to come down to 6 again. And there's, everybody's buying again. And one thing's certain is that there's a lot of people in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, in virtually every town or community across the nation. There's a lot of people who want to buy homes. So if you're one of those individuals, you better make sure that you're aligning yourself with a mortgage expert like Mike, making sure that you're having your pre-approval letter in hand. If you do come across and submit an offer and you say, hey, I gotta, it's a Friday and we're gonna meet with the banker on Monday, to get this letter, it's like, may not make it to Monday before somebody else sneaks in there and submits an offer, maybe an offer that's less than yours, but the bank letter is there and is part of the offer. And you could definitely lose out on deals. So.
Oh. Yeah. Just as well as I do, Marcus, spring market, we probably put in more hours, nights and weekends than any other time during the year, because it typically is the most competitive time of the year, especially up here, in the upper Midwest, mainly due to weather and the type of weather that comes on. So I'm licensed in almost every single state in the U.S., so I can certainly help people out there. I'm usually available nights and weekends to make things happen, especially if you're looking to get an offer in quickly. I know that Marcus and Jason, in the states that they're licensed in, obviously more than willing to help too. It's all about, customer service for us and making sure our clients are happy and putting them in the best position to be successful and get their offer accepted. Well, you're on mute, Marcus.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm just saying we're in the month of March now. We got March Madness and we kind of joke about that real estate, at times definitely feels like, March plays along with that basketball theme of kind of be maddening. So it's not too long where a lot of those buyers, like you said, they're going to jump in that pool, and if the pool is little or shallow, somebody's going to get squeezed out. So just make sure you got everything in order, and you got the right team representing you.
Well, good. Well, as our show comes to end this week, we want to thank everyone for tuning in live or catching us on the podcast at a later time. You can find us anywhere, wherever you find your podcasts, on our website, ushometalk.com. We are here to help you with all of your real estate and financing needs here in Minnesota, South Dakota, and the entire United States. This is Mike Overson with Luminate Home Loans and Marcus Walgrave with Hegg Realtor signing off. Have a great week.